have I started multiple new series at once? 110%. So I started Tethered by Elayna Gallea, I think is how you say it, on my Kindle. I meant to read that for Kindle Unlimited, but like I never got around to it, like whatever, you know. But it's a vampire romance, and like I'm kind of here for it. We're here for the Van Row, okay? Like that's kind of like my jam with fantasy anymore, is like Van Row. And this one, like I said, is a vampire romance. It's an arranged marriage between a vampire and a human. You know, casual things. Like, this is apparently, like, not necessarily a normal thing. Like, not all the humans are arranged marriages to vampires. But this is, like, an alliance between kingdoms. But here's the synopsis. What could be worse than an arranged marriage to a vampire prince? When Luna is sold into marriage to the Prince of Darkness, she thinks she knows what to expect. Arranged marriages happen all the time. Right. Wrong. No one could have prepared her for the reality of being married to the vampire prince. Ever since the day he was made, Sebastian has been living according to Queen Margaret's rules. After all, he's only alive because of her. When she orders him to marry and bind himself to Luna, a human hailing a neighboring kingdom, he has no choice. He agrees to the marriage, but never expects to feel anything for Luna. When their binding ceremony goes awry and they are magically tethered, everything is thrown into upheaval. Unable to leave each other's presence, they must learn to live with each other or die. So, they have the words they've thrown in here. They had a binding ceremony. What this binding ceremony is, it's basically a marriage ceremony. It's like the equivalent. It's just their version of a marriage ceremony, except for instead of like a ring, they get like a bracelet thing. Okay, it's kind of weird, but like a tattoo bracelet thing. That's what they get instead. I'm like, oh, I mean, I guess it's something different than when people like tattoo rings on themselves, you know, like people do that. But however, this tethered thing is not normal. People typically, or I guess people, vampire, whatever you want to say, or not tethered to each other. And what does the tethering do? Well, the binding is just like a normal like marriage thing, you know, like you're like bound together by holy matrimony type stuff. Well, a tethering means, as we find out in the book, first of all, the binding ceremony does go awry because Luna passes out for several days afterwards, which is not normal. So Sebastian's keeping watch over her because like he's like, you're still my wife, so I'm gonna make sure you're taken care of. But like at this point, they're not in love with each other. And she was allowed to have one maid accompany her because apparently she's very rich from where she's from, and she has maids. And so she had one maid that was allowed to stay with her at her new estate, I guess, with her husband and the castle. You know, he's also the vampire prince. He doesn't like his mother very much. His mother, because it's not his actual biological mother. Like, you still make vampires like one would in like all vampire books, you know. But he tries to leave to go hunting because he needs blood, you know, because at this point he hasn't had blood in like a week and a half, and he's like, I'm hungry. So he tries to leave, and he's all angry because they got into a fight before it. Yeah, he doesn't get very far before he like starts screaming in agony, and then in the room, Luna also starts screaming in agony, and they find out it's because they've been tethered. And so the pastor guy, that officiant that, you know, officiated their binding ceremony, for some reason he's done this very ancient ritual called tethering, and he's tethered them together, which basically correlates to they can't leave each other's presence, because if they do, they become in an unbearable pain, and if it goes on long enough, they will die. So now they're bound together. They can't get very far. They found like they can get like 100 yards from each other before they're gonna die. So from pain, you know, that's about the farthest we've gotten. So like they're pretty much stuck together, and yet at this point he is still not left to get blood because he couldn't. But then he comes back because they're tethered, and now he still also hasn't left to get blood. No, it's been longer. I'm not sure how this is working out. And his the queen, his mother, is pretty much suggested that like, yo, you should probably just drink from your wife. she thinks it's humorous that they're tethered. Like, I think this is a plot, okay? It's not said that, but I think it's some secret plot. But Luna doesn't want necessarily Sebastian to drink from her, but now they've like, he still hasn't, because he wants her permission. Very noble. He wants her permission before that. But they like shared one kiss so far, besides their like kiss at their binding ceremony. But then they got into another fight. They fight a lot, guys. Okay, they fight. It's a very weird relationship. Granted, you know, it's an arranged marriage and they didn't know each other until the binding ceremony, so we'll give them some grace. But for some reason, they get into a fight. It's like they just normal fighting that they do. Like, you don't control me, blah, 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 blah. They're doing like all this research. He's like, I'm falling in love with you. And she's like, I don't give a fuck. No. She's like, I'm gonna go talk to my friend Juliet, which Juliet is her, or Juliana, something like that. Anyways, she's like, I'm gonna go talk to her, which she's like flitted in and out, like she's a maid, you know, but like it's her best friend because that's the only person she knows at the castle, like it's from her previous life. Anyways, she tries to go to her room and problem, she's not answering the door, and she's like, that's really weird. And all of a sudden they hear a loud crash, and then Sebastian uses his darkness powers because he could just turn into shadows, because that's the kind of vampire he is, I guess. And he then portals back out of the room and is like, you can't go in there. And it comes out that yeah, she's dead in the room. And I have left off at 50% here, right as she's like, I'm going into the room to see the dead body. So that's where we're gonna be picking it up from tonight. I don't know what I'm doing with my hair there, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's out of my face. I did finish Tethered. So I'm gonna give this one 4 stars. I did enjoy it. I can see why this one was been labeled like upper YA, because the spiciest thing that happened is that they kiss and that they talk about smut, and like they talk about consummating their marriage is the exact terms they use. However, they have not done that. They just talk about it. So I can see why it's labeled like upper YA, but as you get further into the series, it's not labeled that. So I have hopes yet for this coming true. But they're growing closer. I really like how like they're both finally, you know, we just got to get to 75% in the first book before they admitted that they have fallen in love with each other. And we get to find out a little bit more about the Prince of Darkness, because that is Sebastian's title, Prince of Darkness. And it's not just because he like blends, it's not just because he's a shadow daddy. Okay, he's actually like the definition of a shadow daddy, you know, just like Xaden actually, kind of, you know, he has that ability. So I appreciated that. They're also fighting other vampires that want to kill Luna. We don't exactly 100% know why they want to kill Luna, but they want to kill Luna, and he is not gonna let that happen. And actually she almost dies, and then they do this weird thing where she did finally drink, like he drank her blood finally, and then she got injured and she drank his blood, and then that happened again later in the book. Like, he was drinking deer blood because apparently nothing is gonna save him but his tethered blood is basically what they put that down as. And eventually, you know, when they actually started admitting their feelings, she does like let him drink her blood. But then they do it again later because that's again the only thing that's gonna satisfy him, and it makes him stronger when he does that, it turns out. So yeah, that's where we are. End of book 1 ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, so spoiler alert. She's like dying, but he like forces her to drink his blood. However, if you drink too much vampire blood, you also may turn into said vampire. So we don't know if she drank too much or not. He's just like, if she opens her eyes and they're still brown, we're fine. She's not a vampire, but she may open her eyes and they not be brown no more, and then she's, you know, she's a vampire. Also didn't mention it, but now that I'm thinking about it, so when a vampire and a human have these binding and they get tethered together, they live as long as the vampire does. So like, they're still human, but they're now like an immortal human. So either way, she's living forever, pretty much, because he's like 3 centuries old. but now we don't know if she's a vampire or not. So that will be in book 2, I think. All right, it's been a few weeks and I'm ready to jump into the next Binding Chronicle, which is called Tormented. I did start this one a little bit last night. It has a nice little recap that I got through, and then I started reading the first chapter before I fell asleep. So I'm headed over to my mama to take care of the ducks because it is Sunday, and I made a different coffee this morning. So I did a no nut buttercup with vanilla coffee concentrate. So it's like a peanut butter chocolate protein shake, but it has no nuts in it because it's from the Only What You Need brand. So they don't have like any of the top like 9 allergens like peanuts or anything in it, but it like mimics the taste of peanut butter and chocolate. And then I poured vanilla in, which this is going pretty good. I'm not usually a fan of chocolate protein shakes because I don't know, they just like taste weird to me, but that one's actually pretty good. And I don't like their normal chocolate one, so that is pretty good. But we're gonna go ahead and get more into the Binding Chronicles and find out if Luna is turning into a vampire here. I finished Tormented this weekend and realized I didn't talk to you guys. Anyways, it took me a while to read this one. It definitely suffers from like middle book syndrome, you know, where you have a series and book 2 just isn't it, you know. And it's not a bad book by any means. I'd give it a 3. It's definitely, you can tell it's definitely being a bridge book between 1 and 3. You can tell like it's just like build up. So in this one, they're definitely like more of a couple. Luna and Sebastian, they're definitely more of a couple in this one. And they get in, well, the queen, you know, she's being a royal bitch, just to be honest. And she makes them be in this tournament kind of with the intent that they'll like die and like be destroyed, but like it won't be on her hands, you know, because then it'll be as like a mercy of like the competition they're being forced into. She also is very manipulative and keeps making Luna drink this fairy wine that like really fucks her up like hardcore. But it just definitely is a bridge book, and they talk a lot about like Luna goes on and on. She's a researcher, she's a scholar, she researches and blah blah. And I don't get the one thing, like it's just not computing. And I've had like a full like 24 hours to think about this so far since I finished. I don't understand how they're feeding. So they're like, if you feed from your tethered, it's better than if you drink from someone else, okay, or an animal or whatever. But it's not making sense to me because Sebastian's a vampire, Luna is a vampire. How are they drinking each other's blood? I'm not gonna say they don't have blood, like whatever, this is your guys' member, they have blood, fine. How are they drinking each other's though and like surviving off of that? I don't, like, it's not computing in my head. Like the blood is just going back and forth between them, question mark. How do they get like nutrients from that to like survive and be a vampire? It's just like isn't computing to me. I'm like, okay, I'm not quite computing how this works, how you just one vampire eats from another vampire and then that vampire eats from that same vampire that just ate from them. Like it's not making sense how this would be like nutritional, you know. It's just like is not in my head being like, oh, that makes sense. I don't get it, guys. I really don't get it. Anyways, we're gonna dive into Tethered, which is book 3 in the series. There's 4 books in this series. However, I have found out that book 4, one, it has a very different cover. Like the rest of them are these red and black covers, okay? Book 4 is purple and black. And I found out why. It's because book 4 is not centered on Sebastian and Luna. It's a different couple. I don't know who yet. Maybe we'll find out in this next book. But we're coming to the end of like our little saga with Sebastian and Luna in this sense. I'm sure they'll pop up. I feel like because it's like part of this series yet, because like it's literally labeled as book 4. I feel like, you know, they're still gonna be a part of it, but maybe not as big of a part. Anyways, we're going in the Tethered, and like the goal now is, like I said, this is a bridge book. Our goal now is to take down the fucking queen. Okay, it's been like a really long time since I've updated you guys. My hair is all wet right now because I just got out of the shower. It's kind of late. I don't even know what time it is. Hey Alexa, what time is it? Thank you. I guess it's not super late. However, I have not eaten dinner yet because my sister had a volleyball game and I went to that. And so I actually did get some reading done during it because, like, sorry, not sorry, but, like, I actually didn't care about the JV game, but, like, I was there at the start of the JV game because it's kind of unpredictable when the varsity game, when she plays on varsity, is going to actually start. Are you going to update? I'm totally further than this, but I was reading on my phone because, okay, there you go. Yes. So I got to 57%. I read, like, probably 15 to 17% during the game. Because, yeah, like I said, I didn't care about the JV game. I only cared about the varsity game because that's what my sister plays. So I did that. But I didn't get to eat dinner because I could have gotten something at the game, yes. However, saving money. Like, the game already cost $7 to get in. I'm not gonna pay $2 for a freaking hot dog. So, anyways, I have a bowl of watermelon I'm gonna eat for dinner. And then a bagel. And yes, there's something on the bagel. It's butter, okay? Very nostalgic for me. My mom used to give us bagels, blueberry ones, just like this, with butter, this exact brand. It's very nostalgic. I'm very weird about cream cheese. I don't like normal cream cheese. I don't know what it is. I don't like the taste of normal cream cheese. And the texture is kind of weird. I don't know. I can't do it. But I have this, and I have a mug of tea over there. I'm feeling much better from when I was sick last week, but me being sick has also put me behind. So this is totally not going to come out when I thought it was because I didn't have time to finish reading it because I was just like ill and was like, no, I can't read right now. My eyeballs are saying no, and my head is saying no, and my whole body is saying no because I couldn't breathe. But I got to 57%. We're making progress. It's definitely moved. So it was like labeled as like, I want to say it was maybe shelved in YA, but it's definitely like more like new adult. It has like, they don't hide the fact that they have sex, but like at the same time it's very it's not closed door, but it's also not open door. It's like very, very vague. So I guess like halfway closed, question mark, I don't know. So I'm getting there. We've severed our ties to the queen. The queen is a bitch. I don't like the queen. I'm ready to see her downfall, and I'm ready to see more about this like biology, microbiology type stuff they're doing with this plant because it grows in the dark. And like there are plants that are low light, like, don't get me wrong, but like this grows in the dark, and it kind of reminds me of that plant. And Harry Potter, what's that called? Devil's Snare. It doesn't like the sunlight. That's what it reminds me of. But it's not called that, you know, but like, you know, you get what I'm saying. Anyways, it's going well. It's definitely, this series has definitely tapered off in my enjoyment since book one. Like book one was there, but like book two was definitely a filler book, and book three, I mean, I feel like the most part is just like kind of filler. Like maybe we'll ramp up here, but like I feel like it's just like a bunch of filler. Okay, it's Friday now. I'm doing sprints, and I just finished Treasured. This book series has really like lost steam. Book one, loved it, was here for it. Book two, definitely a filler book. Book three, I just didn't care anymore. Like, what I cared about was the queen and how much of an evil bitch she was. And those are the most interesting chapters to read. I didn't care really about Luna and Sebastian's journey at this point. I mean, it was really nice that they found her brother and stuff, and that like he's a halfling. But at the same time, I actually didn't care about like the romance or like anything. The battle at the end where they like fight the queen for the throne, boring as hell. Literally a chapter in the 444 page book. We were leading up to it, all of book two and all of book three, and it was one single chapter, like 4 chapters from the end. Are you serious? It would just resolve so quickly. Like I didn't care. And then we had like 2 epilogues, and like it did the thing I hate, guys. It did the thing I hate. The first one was okay. It was like, oh, here's some time later. Like, okay, I'm not a big fan of it. Like, this was like a few months later. I was like, okay, a few months isn't a big deal. Second epilogue, years later. And we don't get any, like, real resolution with this fucking dragon that just fucking landed on the castle. Like, what the fuck? We just can't bring it up and then just, oh, let's move on. There's dragons, too. And we don't get any explanation. Anyways, I guess, yeah, 3 stars. But I just queued up book 4 because, like, let's just get this over with. Book 4 does not follow Sebastian and Luna, though. It follows her brother. So I guess, well, I assume Sebastian and Luna will be in it a little bit because, like, it's her brother and she's, like, super protective of him because that's the only family she has because everyone else died from the wasting disease, which is also no longer a thing, by the way. It just, like, vanished. Yeah, so I guess we'll get into this next one. It's, like, another 400-page book. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I can handle this yet, guys. Of course, when I want to do this, I'm, like, having a goddamn coughing attack. I'm not, like, sick anymore, but, like, you know how you get, like, a lingering cough? Yeah, that's what's happening. My hair is also a freaking mess. It's a really good thing I decided not to take the thumbnail picture tonight because, god, this is a mess. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe we'll try again tomorrow. I haven't even attempted it tonight. And it's, like, 11:45. We ain't gonna do none of that tonight. Let's admit that. But I just finished up normal Monday sprints. I did pick up Troubled. I really was feeling dissociative today after my chaotic day at work. We're not even getting on to it. Basically, I'm just irritated because you can't just tell 4 people to walk in all at the same time. They weren't even emergencies. That's what really pisses me off. They all could have been seen and just, like, schedule, like, a normal, like, problem-focused visit. Like, they did not need to be walked in. Anyways, I really just needed to dissociate tonight, so I, like, crocheted for, like, a sprint and a half after I did all my normal, like, cleaning and dinner and stuff. But then I did pick up Troubled for my last sprint here, which I was at, like, 52 pages. So I did read, like, 52 pages, like, Friday night after my sprint and stuff. I did read, like, 52 pages of it, which really, I really can't comment too much on it. It was, like, set up. But now I'm, like, a solid 42% in. So, I read another 100-some pages. So we're a good chunk in now. And it's only, like, 392 to begin with. I think this is, like, the shortest one in the series. But, man, I don't give a fuck. I feel like it's a really weird segue to put this in with the rest of the series. When books, like, 1, 2, and 3 were focused on Sebastian and Luna. And book 1, Tethered, was very more fantasy over romance focused. It was a very fantasy romance book. No, but obviously focused on fantasy, which I enjoyed. Books 2 and 3, which was, oh my god, I gotta think, Tormented and Treasured, flipped the roles. And it was more romance than fantasy. Like, it's basically a romance book where they just happen to be vampires. Like, I wasn't really vibing with it then because it was such a role reversal from what book 1 was. Because I really enjoyed book 1. Book 2 was definitely a filler book. It has middle bulk syndrome. You know, it is what it is. I feel like that's very common. It's a filler book for sure, which is fine in fantasy series. I really don't mind it, but it was actually there was more romance than fantasy that really irritated me. But then book 3, I just, like, didn't care. And like I said, the most interesting character was the queen, and he was the villain. So book 4 here, we focus on Luna's younger brother, Maurice? I don't fucking know how to say his name, okay? It starts with an M. Anyway, we're focused on him, and he wants to set off on this grand adventure, and he wants to be independent, which, valid, bro. I can see it. Your sister's keeping you, like, very sheltered, especially after, you know, the rest of your guys' family is dead. And, you know, he, like, almost died. He was, like, almost dying his, like, entire childhood, you know? He was ill, very ill. But I still don't care. Like, he's on this, like, adventure, and he's, like, almost dying, and I just don't care. It's definitely back to the vibe of book 1 where it's more fantasy. There's really not much of a romance element at this point. We are 41% in. But, so, I mean, there's room for it to, like, have, like, a romance subplot for sure yet. But it definitely has that vibe of book 1. But I think we're so far in that I, like, just don't give a fuck. And it doesn't flow very well, in my opinion, because we were so focused on Sebastian and Luna as the main characters, and now they're like side characters in book 4, and we're focused. It just feels weird because we focus 3 books on them, and then the last book 4, is focused on another character. This felt more like it should have been like a 3.5, not a book 4 in a series. You know what I mean? Like, it should have been almost like a novella, except for it is a full-length novel. It just feels like it really shouldn't be part of the main series, or it should be something like what work Riordan does with Percy Jackson, where, you know, you have the Percy Jackson Olympian books, and then we spin off to Heroes of Olympus. It feels like it should be more something like that than, like, part of the series. Like, a connected standalone. I guess I don't know if there's going to be, like, a book 5 coming out where we go more into this. I mean, maybe I'll figure it out by the end if it, like, kind of is, like, setting up for that. But, I mean, because book 4 did come out in 2024. But it just doesn't feel like it's very cohesive, and it's kind of irritating, and it just feels so odd from the rest of the series. Okay, I finished Troubled. I didn't really update you guys during it. It also didn't take long to read. Once I sat down and read it, it was just a matter of me, you know, actually reading the book. But I did go ahead and I finished it. I mean, it was still late. It was like 400 pages yet. But like I said, it's very easy to read, the writing style. It's just, I think at this point, I just don't care. I don't care about the characters. I was like slowly waning interest in Sebastian and Luna as that series was going on. Like, you know, like I said, books 2 and 3 just didn't hold the same, like, enthrallment as, like, book 1 did. You know, it just wasn't there. Like, it just didn't hold me captive like book 1 did. This one, I thought it was going to be more like book 1, and it started out that way, let me tell you. However, I didn't care. I didn't care about the characters. I just didn't. Like, Sebastian and Luna were in it, and they were side characters, which I fully expected based on the synopsis of this one. But Maurice, however the hell you want to say his name. I didn't care about him. Like, yeah, it's real tragic about him growing up, but, like, I don't really feel like we needed a spin-off on him, you know? You feel me? Like, I didn't feel like it was necessary, you know? I can say, though, by the end of this, it is definitely not setting up for a book 5, because it's very wrapped up within that one book. I honestly feel like book 4 was not necessary to be part of the series. It should have been shorter, and it should have just been like a spin-off novella type deal. Like, or like a collection of short stories. Like, we did not need a full-length novel on them. It was very pointless, in my opinion. So, I mean, honestly, with as pointless as it feels, I feel like a 2, but like the story itself is decent. Not like super enthralling, like I mentioned, but like I gave it I'm gonna round up to a 3, because like the story itself, the writing is good, the plot is like it's longer than necessary, so you know, but the overall like goal of the book is there. I just don't care about the characters anymore. I didn't think this one, like I said, was necessary. So yeah, I'm just gonna settle on a 3 for it. You know what? Good job on Pinterest for recommending this one to me, because it was like, I was scrolling through Pinterest and I found it, and it was like the description for like book 1, Tethered. Yeah, Tethered. That's what it was called. I had to think. It really set it up, you know, like he's a shadow daddy and she's a human in a castle full of vampires. It really set up for that one really well. However, I just feel like the rest of the series wasn't as well as like executed, in my opinion. And I just, again, I didn't care. And like they brought up the first, and like I don't know, I feel like any kind of the battle scenes you would see in fantasy, they just weren't like very well written out in this series. You know, like we kind of just like, oh, it happens, there we go. And it's like very, very short, like a paragraph or 2. And like I kind of want like long drawn out I want long drawn out battle scenes at this moment. Like, that's what I'm feeling, and I just didn't get that. But yeah, yay, we finished it. I've only been trying to finish this vlog forever and a day, but we made it, guys. I'll see you next time.